What up, world? Hopefully you can hear me. I know one of my headphones was about to die earlier, but my name is Kashaya, and I just wanted to come and speak on something. This don't really have nothing to do with Bible chat. This is just a life observation, so shall we say. But I was listening to somebody on YouTube the other day, and they were talking about why people throw shade. And in the process of me listening to that, what came to my mind was, and it came back up as I was talking to my mom, so I just felt the need to fully address the thoughts. Mainly for a self-reminder for myself, but maybe it'll help somebody else too. Either having to deal with this or trying to overcome being the person that does this, or self-reflection for people if need be. I don't know. Apply it as you need it, discard it if you don't, So I'm just about to get into this chat. But she was talking about how she was just giving different reasons why people throw shade and et cetera and et cetera. And as I was listening to it, what kind of hit me was, shade has to be something that's heavy, right? It has to be heavy on somebody's spirit. And the reason that came to my mind, right, is because stuff that's light, stuff that's easy to hold, like, you're not trying to quickly throw it out or dish it out, right? You kind of chill, you bearing it, you okay, it's no stress, like, you fine. But stuff that's heavy, it's like you want to get rid of it, right? Even in my conversation, like, with my mom, what was taking place was I had reached my physical capacity, and my flesh was boiling. My flesh was hot. It was too cold for me to hold it. And what happened in talking to my mom, what she helped me realize is that, yeah, my flesh had reached this capacity, but I didn't kick in my spirit at that time that my flesh had reached this capacity. Because our spirits are built way different than our flesh, especially if you're constantly feeding your flesh. And it was funny because one thing earlier in nail school that I had talked about with one of the girls that graduated today, congratulations to her, was that when I don't start my mornings reading my Bible, there's a difference. And I'm not saying this for people to feel like, oh, they can manipulate that and feel like, they can conjure up some type of spell of voodoo or whatever to prevent me from reading my Bible, because I'm still reading my Bible. But the difference is, when I don't start my day off either with my devotional or like physically reading my word, there's a shift in that spiritual protection, right? And so I added that in there just because we need that extra spiritual protection, right? Had I probably fortified my day with the word like I typically do, then it would have been probably easy for my spirit to override or it would have been easier for my spirit to fill the gap, right? But because part of me already knew I was going into an environment where there's just mess, right? There's just constant mess for no reason, because the people in that environment realize that when I'm in there, I'm typically chill, I'm quiet. I typically try to avoid even acknowledging any of their mess, simply because I know they coming with it, right? And so because I know that they coming with it, I try to go ahead and just put up safeguards to kind of block it, right? Even in my morning prayers, it safeguards in my prayers, different things like that. But because part of me my flesh, that fleshly part, has its weak moments, right? My flesh wants to respond in a situation that it ain't even for me to respond. Like, it's not for me to do anything. But because I'm not my father, as much as I'm striving to be more and more like my spiritual father every day, right? But I'm very much so like my physical daddy. Look just like him. It's ridiculous. Like, if he had a junior, I would have been it. It wouldn't have been my brother. It would have been, I would have been the junior. I would have been the junior. And I have to constantly remind myself that, one, it's not my fight, but two, if it wasn't something about me, right? And I'm not saying I'm not aware of myself. I'm very, very, very much aware of myself, right? I'm very much aware of what God wants to do with my life, who God has called me to be. And I'm striving every day to walk in that, right? But the issue that I have, I don't even know if it's a true issue, because in all honesty, it's part of what I'm supposed to do anyways. But there's always a time for things to take place, right? God always does things like at certain times. Like, it ain't just, oh, I can jump out willy-nilly or when I want to and do whatever I want to. Nah, that's not what it is. But for those of you, right, who love to be these shady individuals, and I get it, right? Because once something gets heavy for you, you're not still trying to hold it. You just trying to release it in whatever way possible, the quickest way possible. You just trying to get it off of you. You don't care how you release it. You just need to release, right? So I can understand how you be shady and petty and you throw jabs. Like, okay, cool. But at some point, like, once you released it, you know, your chest should have swelled back up or something now. Like, your chest shouldn't be weighed down with all them lumps, with all those things that was, like, in your spirit kind of hindering you, right? Your chest should be perked back up enough for you to at least now speak with your chest, now that you done got all the shade out, right? That's not the world we live in. I get that. We don't live in that time. It's okay. Maybe one day, as the church continues to, you know, get washed and cleaned and all those beautiful things, you know, maybe we'll get back to that place. I don't know. I think that's God's intention, though. But I'm not God, so, you know, pray about it for yourself. But I think if you are carrying the heavy load today of just being shady, of being petty, of insecurity, right, where you feel like who somebody else is impacting who you feel you are in such a way that you need to gain strength from attempting to pull from a strength that you sense is on this person, I charge you today to self-reflect. I charge you today to self-reflect in such a way where you ask yourself, why do I feel the need to attempt to break somebody else down if I'm genuinely secure in who I am and what I called to do, in what I'm doing and how I'm doing it? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself that. See what answer you get. Like, genuinely see what answer you get. Because if it was not heavy, if it was not weighing down on your insecurity, would you do it? Would you? Would you? I mean, when you secure yourself, what do you care about what somebody else is or isn't doing? Especially if what they're doing you can't add to in a positive way. What would you care about what they're doing? Because you should be so focused on what you're doing. What would you care to point out somebody else's self-perceived flaws of who they are or are not? And I say self-perceived because clearly it's a flaw to you. If the person thought it was a flaw, they would fix it, or they would feel some type of way about it. But when you see a person that's confident, that's minding their business, that has no issues with who themselves are, why, as a self-proclaimed secure person, would you feel the need to berate and belittle them? Why? 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 The insecurity is heavy, right? The insecurity is heavy, right? Right? Their life ain't got nothing to do with your life. Absolutely nothing. Unless they your baby daddy. And even then, they partially ain't got nothing to do with you if y'all ain't married or together, because at the end of the day, their life really only matters to that child and how they show up in the world for that child. They're still an individual because y'all are not one, even though we're not even gonna go down that rabbit hole. But anywho, all I'm saying is, if you are secure within yourself, like genuinely secure within yourself, why do you feel the need to attempt to berate or belittle somebody else? Why? Why? And another question for some of y'all folks, right? And when I say some of y'all, I'm talking about the some of y'all that you yourself were picked on as a child, right? You got bullied. People chastised you. People made fun of you. And this is for all nationalities, right? Especially some of you nationalities that come into this world and you feel like, oh, you perceive yourself to be higher up on the totem pole because that's what America would have you to believe, right? America would have you to believe that your ethnicity is above somebody else's. When the irony is, the person, the group of people who you perceive your group of people to be above really are the group of people who made this entire life that you live in even possible. Make it make sense. Do you really think, if you're thinking, do you genuinely think that if black people had no importance, that the world would spend so much time trying to berate and belittle us? Do you really think that? Do you genuinely think that? Outside of the shenanigans that we see in the world dealing with these celebrities that would love for the black culture to just be degraded and nasty and butt out and breast out and everything out, right? Just, you can do what men do and men can do what women do, whatever, right? And that's all cultures. That ain't just black cultures. But really, really, truly, really sit on that for a second. If it's heavy, I understand. I get heaviness. I got heavy today holding in what I knew God was telling me to shut up about. I got heavy, and it took my mom to remind me that heaviness is lifted with praise. It's lifted with praise. Just imagine that heaviness of that insecurity that you feel that it's causing you to project on somebody else. Imagine if you use that to praise or hype yourself up about the things that you are genuinely secure within yourself about. Imagine. Woo. My mom had to remind me, because my mom knows me. Like, my mom genuinely knows me. Like, the world don't. Nobody. Like, God do. But nobody. I don't know. I just think it's interesting because, you know what? If I'm honest, when I truly look back, like, if I ever picked on somebody, which I don't know, it's possible that I did. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure even if I did, it was operating out of a place of insecurity. Because when I became secure in myself, I didn't need to pick on somebody else for me to feel secure. Now, every blue moon, it would probably come out and surface because I got tired of being quiet or trying to be the bigger person. Some of y'all do too much for no reason. And I say no reason because if you would apply that same energy to yourself, if you would pour all of that you pour into attempting to get at somebody else, you wouldn't even have time to be focused on the other person. And mind you, I started off saying this could be a self-talk for me to check back out later, and that maybe you can apply it to yourself, especially if you're someone that get off on talking about somebody else. What you talking about them for if you focused on you? If you running your race, you got time to be in somebody else's lane? You got time to be over there when your track is right here? You got time to be over there? I'm just asking. I don't know. I do know the Bible say run your race to win. Your race, not somebody else's. But you got time to be in somebody else's lane? You got time to be focused on what somebody else doing? So my charge today is, when you feel heavy with insecurities or just hate in your heart for somebody else, because maybe you're confident but you just got hate in your heart towards other people. I don't know if the two are possible. Anything's possible. Who knows? We got AI robots these days. All I'm saying is, whether it's hate in your heart or insecurity in your heart or just nastiness in your heart, and you feel like berating somebody else's experience elevates yours, I charge you to really self-reflect and ask yourself why you feel like that empowers you. That's the first thing. Ask yourself why that empowers you. That's number one. Number two, I charge you, when you feel the need to project your insecurities on somebody else, find something within yourself that you are genuinely secure in and hype yourself up about it, right? Say, dang, I'm going to use myself as an example. Kashaya, you have gorgeous eyes, girl. Love your eyes, baby. They is brown, but they is a different kind of brown, right? Because when they hit the sun, they a different type of brown, right? Or what else could it be? Oh, Kashaya, that gap. Oh, you got the most beautiful crooked gap, right? I used to be so self-conscious about my teeth, like I would not smile. Now I smile. You want to know why? I smile showing my teeth in spite of my gap, in spite of all of those things. You want to know why? My gap ain't stopped nothing. My gap has not stopped people from approaching me. My gap has not stopped doors opening up for me. My gap stops nothing. My crooked teeth stop nothing. Maybe the only thing it'll stop is, I can't be a a smile model. But who knows? I could even be a smile model depending on who the artist or the whatever the manager is, right? You never know. Like, some people's imperfections are the most beautiful thing about them, but you so focused on somebody else's imperfections that you ain't even taking time to pour into your own imperfections. And had you done so, you wouldn't feel the need to be then projecting on somebody else, now would you? But anywho, let's get back to these charges, right? One, first thing was, ask yourself why, right? Why do you feel the need to allow that heaviness within yourself to project and attempt to make somebody else feel small? That's number one. Number two, the thing that you might be insecure about concerning yourself. Find something within yourself that you're not insecure about and hype yourself up about that, so much so to where the insecurities that you have, you are able to drop because you done poured so much of that energy that you were using to get at somebody else to pour into yourself. Those two things, sit and reflect. Because that person you talking about that's minding their business, that ain't even paying you no mind 9 out of 10 times. What they in your mouth for? And I know we all operate at different maturity levels. I know we can still be 44 and immature. I know we can be 60 years old and immature. I know we can be 90 and still be out here in these streets. You know, hopefully you're not 90 in these streets, but you never know, right? You never know. All I'm saying is you could be 12 and be more mature than an adult. And I know that sounded like a stutter because it felt like one too. But anyway, my charge for you today is, when you feel heavy with hatred, with insecurity, so much so that you feel the need to project onto somebody else, one, ask yourself why. Two, find something that you are proud of within yourself and pour that same energy and effort into hyping yourself up, into hyping up the things that you ain't even yet confident in, so you can get to the place that you're confident within those things, so you don't have to pick on somebody else. And number three, if you're getting bullied or picked on or talked about as a child, as an adult, at any stage in life, right? Because again, we're all operating at different maturities, and certain things don't stop when you get older. Sometimes it just get worse because now you're dealing with older fools, you know, who knows. But all I'm saying is this: if you yourself as a child was picked on, and you grow up to believe that if you pick on people back, that you're now protecting yourself, I'm sorry, that's not really how that works. I'm not saying don't advocate for yourself, because by all means, advocate for yourself. I used to tell my students that I'm never going to tell you not to defend yourself. But what I have always told my students is, somebody picking on you, either one, they like you, or two, you intimidate, something about you intimidates them and makes them feel small, right? I've always told my students that, because it's the truth. I'm not saying never defend yourself. Advocate for yourself. Speak up for yourself. But what I'm saying is, if you pour all that heaviness into uplifting yourself, maybe even finding a praise song, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. When we spiritually heavy, we're supposed to praise. We're supposed to tap into who God is and just lift that heaviness off of us, right? Maybe y'all need to do that when you're fleshly heavy too. And my mom had to remind me of that, right? Not that I was picking on nobody, but I'm not gonna lie. I can't lie. Like, my younger self used to let it would fly out like darts. And I mean like fiery darts. It would pew, 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 and it would land every time. Every time. It took the passing of my daddy for that to just gone. And after a while, my voice came back. It was a good while, but then my voice came back, and I started to get back to that space where I would speak up again when something was wrong or not right, or I would advocate and stand up for the things that I felt were wrong. You ain't gotta like what people do. You ain't even gotta like the person. I don't even like the little girls in my class no more. I don't hate them or anything like that, but I definitely, at this point, I don't like them. I really don't. But that don't mean I don't love them. That don't mean I still don't want them to do well. I just want them to keep my name out their mouth. But they not gonna do that, right? Because they not at that place yet. They not at that maturity yet. They not at that security yet within themselves, where they don't feel the need to get in this little group and feel like, oh, let's pick on her. She's the only black girl left in here. The other black girls done left. Now we can talk about her. They don't know little me. They don't know little me. They don't know little D. They don't know that. They don't know me. Ask my uncles. Ask my mama. Ask myself. They don't know little D. I took a period where little D was lost. Like, and I'm not saying her physically. Now, I have definitely been lost physically, but I'm saying lost in the sense of that mouth that I used to have, that fiery lip that I used to have was gone, removed when my dad died. Now it's just being molded in the fire of what God is doing in my life. I actually heard that somewhere. I thought it was good, so I forget who I got it from. I wouldn't name you, but I really don't know. But it was good. Whoever used that, it was good. But anyway, all I'm saying is, whoo, y'all do some work. Heal yourself. Be confident in who you are. So much so that you don't even gotta talk down on somebody else just because they made you feel away. And this is definitely something for me to go back to later and watch, because when my flesh was at its capacity and my spirit was just sitting there looking at what I was going to do. That's how I felt today. When my spirit was just sitting there looking like, what you about to do? I did the best thing that I knew to do next. So that was just to take a walk outside, call up my mama, and just get it out, right? I knew I couldn't unleash the fire that was sitting on the inside of me like I wanted to, but I knew I also could not contain it. It was too heavy for me. But it unleashed that way, talking to my mom, because I didn't apply the heaviness is lifted with praise. Had I applied that, I probably would have smooth made it through that day. Smooth made it through that day. And that's something I gotta work on. And you know what? I'm gonna continue to work on it. But for those of you with faith, I'm gonna also end it with this. Can you imagine the stuff that we say we suffer through, right, throughout life? Imagine God experiencing that, but 20 billion fold. I don't know how many people on this earth, but just imagine God experiencing that. And the weight that he had to feel on that cross, dealing with all of our sins that he had to carry for us. And then you really sit there and question if he loved us. We just individual people, and we struggle to carry it ourselves. Our Father carried it all. All. He carried it all. Not just for himself. I can't even say for himself because he's without sin, but he carried all of our sins. You know how much stuff we probably experienced that's a sin in a lifetime? And God carried all of that. He said heaviness is lifted with praise. Y'all better find something to praise about in the spirit when your spirit is heavy, and find something to praise yourself about. And I'm not saying do this so you can become conceited or vain. I'm saying do it to the point where your insecurities are gone. Do that. And you'll know when they're gone, when you don't feel the need to feel like you have to feel big by making somebody else feel small. That's my little TED talk for myself and maybe for y'all too. But it's Saturday, so hopefully y'all have an amazing day. Y'all go continue to be great. I'm good now, so I'm gonna call my mama back on a different note, but love you later.